Hey everyone, welcome to the Higher Estate Podcast. I got 2 pens. Naz is ready to go. She's like, this is my show. I'm going to take it away from you. You should have seen all the stuff that I had to do to make sure she was ready to come on, and honestly, she's like one of the most difficult guests I've ever had.
Is this how this is starting right now?
No, it's not. You're awesome. We have an amazing show for you today. We have a really special guest. Happens to be related to me because she's my wife. We have Naz Zarazadigan. Spell that. It's got all the letters of the alphabet.
Super phonetic.
That's true. Z-A-R-E. I'm good. Stop. And blah, 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 blah. Anyway.
The only one that didn't change my last name. My whole family cut off half of it.
Well, it's a beautiful name. Okay, so we have an awesome show. She's going to be talking to us today about her journey to fitness and health and how she got to where she is. And I think it's a really inspirational story. So it was really important to have her on. And I didn't want to lose my balls. So I'm kidding.
Only took 2 years. But.
Oh, there we go. But you know, as usual, we're going to we'll start with our news, and we've got Tyler who's here. He also didn't even want to come in today. He's like, "What? I'm in Burlington." Shit! Everybody just shoot.
I was doing lots of stuff, meetings, all that stuff, right? But I'm here now.
All right, that's good. Lucas and I were we were going to do this alone on Wednesday. No, Lucas couldn't come. I was going to do this.
Consequently, I could have. And just towards your rant last time, the reason why my shoot got canceled was because they had to keep their kids, and school got canceled.
I left here at 3:30 that day and got home at 6.
To where?
I live far and I'm in the country, man.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
fucking
right.
hard.
You swore.
You swore.
That's your first time. Dude, I think that's a first time.
That is probably the first time I swore.
He really meant it. He was really angry.
Yeah, I was not. Man, that's a long, hard drive, and I was driving through.
So what you're saying is we could have podcast because you were like, I don't want to drive 2.5 hours home, and you still did anyway.
I still had to anyway. It would have been probably longer if I stayed longer. The roads would have got worse. More people leave work at 5. I left at 3:30 before the whole rush hour came.
The whole rush hour, not the whole, not like
the
half,
whole rush hour,
not the half rush hour.
No, just the whole thing,
just the whole rush hour or half. Anyway, listen. All right, some cannabis news first to start.
One really big thing is the Ticker initiative with Aurora. They finally got the MPs to listen, and they're reevaluating it. So
who's reevaluating?
The MPs and the actual people who are in charge of making the laws. They're listening to Aurora, MedRelief, and a few others. Literally, Aurora took a truck, put a billboard on it, put a ticker on it, and put it out front of the Minister of Finance's office.
What is a ticker?
It was counting how much money was being spent in tax on medical cannabis. So they put it right in front of the finance minister's office. He saw it. It caught attention.
Finance minister?
The Minister of Finance.
No, I like the minister.
Yeah.
The finance of minister.
But anyway, they did that, and now they're actually going to start listening to him. So hopefully, in the future, cannabis won't be taxed for medical purposes.
Well, stay tuned because we'll have updates on that. I'll put that update on my on Instagram, so you can check it out.
For sure.
Okay, that's cool. That's really great. Actually, I just sat with Aurora today. They were talking about that. I feel like I sound super Canadian when I talk.
That's fine. We are I am Canadian. In Canada.
But you know what I mean? I feel like I have a really thick accent.
Do you?
Do I?
No.
No,
I don't?
Go out west. Listen to people from out west.
Yeah,
Listen to people from Saskatchewan. Yeah. Hey there. Hey there, oh there.
Hey there, oh there.
The first people I talked to was a girl from Saskatchewan, and I was like, we don't say A. But yeah,
they say a boot. In Saskatchewan, they say a boot. I say about. They say a boot.
Who says a boot?
People from Saskatchewan.
Is that?
2 of my friends from college were from Saskatchewan.
No.
It's out west compared to here. Central. Right. But you go to Alberta, it's the same thing.
On the
BC's a little.
Of Canada?
Halifax.
PEI? Right, Halifax,
PEI. Newfoundland.
Are you Canadian?
What's the other one? New Brunswick.
Right. Where are you from?
I'm horrible in geography, so I became a doctor.
Have you not traveled?
I love geography.
Ira can't travel from Dundas to Hamilton without asking.
Just because we're related does not give you the right to talk shit about me right now. I get
Jar.
Oh,
Jar.
Right. Shoot. I'm not okay, Mom. Again, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try not to. Okay. Other news. There's a couple things. I think what I really want to focus on is Clint Young's case. I don't know if it's funny. I was like, I need to go and look at the case, and then I realized that we're Instagramming live, and my phone was up there, which is why I was like, when I had I didn't swear.
No, why don't you use your
You
computer?
have a computer right in front of you.
No, because I just sent him a text to ask him a question. Anyway,
Hi, Clint.
no. That's fine. I think I kind of knew it anyways. I was an expert witness on it. Not that it helped much. So at the end of the day, yesterday was the hearing. The court case came to a head, and he lost. He said it was took about 2 whole minutes for the judge to give everyone a slap in the face. The case was actually a challenge to the ACMPR. And it was a pro-dispensary challenge. I think it's actually quite sad because I'm in support of the dispensary model. I'm just in support of the regulation of the dispensary model. The way that the dispensary model has been working until now is, well, as you know, you just sort of walk inside and, they check, don't turn your cell phone on. Here's a
Bank machine,
ATM. We only accept cash, and they're making $80,000 a day. From it depends what perspective you look at. If you're running a small business, it's excellent, but where's the quality assurance? Where's all those other things? Is there a role for it? 100% there's a role for the dispensary model. It just needed to be regulated. So I think that was just a slap in the face. I'll tell you where the case came up for me. I think I mentioned it once before. It's when... and where I actually sent somebody. I literally sent a parent to a dispensary because I got called from the ICU at one of our major trauma centers, and it was to see a patient who was a very young, under 30-year-old female who was suffering from brain cancer. She was intubated. It was kind of her last-ditch hope, of course. And it was actually, they waited too long to call and give it a shot. But either way, the actual neurointensivist called me. So the brain doctor called me and said, would you come to the ICU at this massive hospital and prescribe, or at least listen to the family and see what you can do for them, because we have no idea what we're doing when it comes to cannabis. They're actually amazing physicians. So I went over there and I did this spent hours with this. You remember when I did all that? It was the middle of the night. I went at like 10:30. Well, middle of the night. I went at 10:30. I'm old. 10:30 at night. And I was there till about midnight with this family, talking to them, and they're showing me these studies. And either way, it was for I think it was a neuroblastoma. Anyway, a brain cancer. And I was going to prescribe cannabis for this person. It was a Thursday. Was it a Thursday night? I think it was a Thursday night, early Friday morning. And I'm going to send them to a licensed producer. How long does it take to get cannabis from a licensed producer?
5 days minimum.
Right.
5 days.
Unless you get it expedited by the physician, which is even difficult then to get it within 2 days.
Right.
Then they still have to mail it, which then you have to wait for them to mail another 3 days.
So you're looking at
a week or more.
Right. You're looking at a week or more. And that's coming from somebody who's seen over, how long you've been here now? A year?
A year.
So you've seen over 3, 6, 9, 12,000 patient visits.
Yep.
Right? So that's from 12,000 patient visits in 1 year, where it's taking at least 7 days for somebody to get their cannabis. So I think, at the end of the day, I'm not sure they made the right decision. I don't know all the facts. What I do know is that was the testimony that was I went in as an expert witness, and I think but I've told this story before. I think it's really important that the story be known, and that there is a role for the dispensary model. It just needs to be regulated, especially if it's a medicine. If you have a patient or a person that's immunocompromised, they shouldn't just be taking street weed, because you have no idea what's inside it, right? Powdery mildew is everywhere. And
bud rot, botrytis, all those things are very prevalent in street bud.
Right.
100%.
Let me ask you a question, because we have a bottle of wine that we got from Big Rock, I think it was, that's 100% botrytis. It's wine.
What's botrytis?
It's a fungal disease within plants.
What? Did you feed me this wine?
Sure did, bud.
So I don't know. Maybe it's different in grapes.
With the white wax?
Yeah,
we didn't have that.
The one with the white label.
Yeah.
No, we did. It's 100% botrytis.
Did you drink it, or did you say try it on Naz first?
Just try it on Naz.
It's probably just made with rotten grapes. Maybe that does something.
Well, I don't know. If anybody knows the
you look
answer
at
to
buds
that,
and you see like it's not mold, it's
Text
nothing.
us.
It's eating away at it. It's bud rot. It's literally rotting away, and that's what it is.
sounds
It's like a rot. It's a
sounds
fungus.
disgusting.
It is gross.
So then, what the fuck?
I don't know why they would use grapes that had botrytis for wine. There might
Well,
be
they did.
special reason.
Is there? If somebody knows anything about wine out there, text us or instant whatever live it action. Okay, so that went down. Unfortunately, it what didn't work out in our favor this time, but that doesn't mean there's a lot of other challenges coming up, and there's already more challenges happening. Some other interesting stuff. I know none of us really like Trump at all, but in the U.S., you know what? Well, they can hear you.
Well, I lived in the U.S. for a while.
What were you doing there?
School.
All right.
University.
Are they going to come get you now? Didn't you get tossed out?
I did.
Right.
I lived there after university for too long.
Yeah.
It was harder to get my green card than I thought.
Really? You were in the States too? What
He
were you
just
doing in
has
the
San
States?
Fran.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
3 years.
But I just stayed there.
Were you taking pictures?
No, it's like contracted.
I had a school visa and then I expired. And
Really?
I stayed for another 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, anyway, so Trump has decided that he is going to support. Well, he's put a
He's helping
bill
push
or
a bill
motion.
through to put a stop to a bill that his former attorney general pushed in.
Right.
And that guy just left, so now he's vowing to get rid of that rule, which doesn't allow cannabis companies to invest in federal banks and puts federal pressure on them as well.
So it's going to allow federal banks to accept money from legal states.
That's part of the bill.
From cannabis.
Yes, that is
okay.
part of the bill.
Interesting. I
And,
mean, that's a good movement forward, I think.
The other part of the bill is for like the DEA and other federal agencies to lay off any state-regulated companies that are working within legal states.
Right.
That's another big part of it.
You know what's amazing about this whole moment? Everybody's standing up, walking around. I totally forgot to we just jammed it in. Naz is
Yeah.
right. At least Naz went and got the thanks,
okay.
Naz. You went and got yourself kombucha.
all
Left
fine.
everybody else out. That's
I'm just
awesome.
waiting for my turn.
Normally, I know you are.
When you're done talking, just let me know.
Normally we have kombucha sitting here, and we're gonna get it because I'm actually already thirsty.
Your
Okay,
lips are dry.
what's that?
Your lips are dry.
Well, thank you. I need some kombucha. Look, it's coming. Thanks.
There we go.
Thanks, brother. Wow, that
Thank
is a
you.
lot of
Thank you.
kombucha. Cheers. Wow, it's gonna,
Cheers.
Cheers. Naz, thanks for
Cheers.
bringing us
Cheers.
your kombucha.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Unbelievable. All right.
Tastes
So-
like cider. I love it.
It's very good.
What else? San Francisco dismisses 8,000 cannabis convictions. That's pretty huge. That's the first state in the U.S. to do that. This is what's happening in the world, guys. This shit is important. I don't know if that's worth a quarter. They
Shit?
say shit. Yeah, because they say that on regular television.
Does your guest get the jar?
No. Does the guest? Why would the guest get the jar?
Like, what do you do? Just put change in it and then just do it
And
again?
then-
Where does it go?
it keeps
well,
building up.
It builds
should
up,
get the
and then we
jar.
change the quarters to toonies, and then
Like Dr.
and then we give it
Iris
away
swear
to
jar.
right, and then we use it as change, or we give it away to people.
Well,
in
how about
need.
this? Once it's full, we'll buy something and give it away.
Yeah, but we've already filled it,
How
and
about-
we've used the data.
You don't have to say that.
Okay, just kidding. All right, that's fair. Fine. And finally, cannabis legalization is linked to an increase in junk food consumption.
That was the silliest study I've ever seen.
How amazing is that? Well, that's better than. So here's something I want to mention. Naz, we're getting to in a second.
Just call me when you're ready.
3 weeks ago, my good friend Mike Hart was on Joe Rogan with this, and he was debating this absolute moron this guy, I can't say that, came out with, he has a book. He's an anti-cannabis book sort of advocate guy, and I can't even remember his name, Benson, something like that. Anyway, I don't know. But his argument was very pro his book, so I understand that. I don't think he's an absolute idiot moron. I'm just going to say that I think he used population statistics to his advantage, right? And I did a post on this. Yeah, of course he did. So one of these things that he says was, cannabis violence has increased since legalization of cannabis.
Just a lot more people smoke.
There aren't a lot. Junk food consumption's gone up for sure.
That's more of a problem
that's-
to the
I think
U.S.
I think that's throughout everything.
Oh,
I don't know.
opioid deaths have overtaken car accident deaths in the United States.
And we're worried about Doritos?
And we're worried. No, they're worried about. They're worried about death. They're worried about violence and increase in violence since legalization. But you also had Trump elected, since that time. You've also had like a whole bunch of other things happen since that. It's just if you look at the trend and population statistics lie. They basically tell you whatever you want to hear. At the end of the day, I think the most important thing we need to know is that since the legalization of cannabis, crime has decreased and hardline drug use has decreased. These are two really important things. Nobody's arguing. And the other argument, cannabis causes psychosis. Yes, it does. I'm not going to argue that. Cannabis use at an early age onset can cause psychosis later on. That's not the argument. Of course, we know those things already. We also know that if somebody wants to abuse cannabis, cannabis abuse is on the rise. Well, one, it's not on the rise. It's actually decreased. There's nothing to substantiate that. But at the end of the day, I always say you can't stop stupid. I know that's a really bad, maybe something bad to say. What? But it's true. If you want to abuse something, you're going to abuse it. We have a larger problem with people with obesity. We have people want to abuse something, they'll sit in their chair long enough and abuse it.
Yep.
Right? So we have to look at the conversation. What is it, that we're trying to portray? Certainly there's abuse. We have to be careful of those things, but everything has risks and benefits, and we really have to watch out for that we don't start going back down this hole where, because cannabis is doing so much in a positive way, again we have to try to prove how bad it is. And I think that's sort of a trend that's starting to happen now. Anyway, that's just my rant. Here we go again. All right. I think that's all I have to say for the news for this week. If anybody else has something else to say, by all means, what do you want?
I just want to say that Martha Stewart partnered with Canopy to launch a CBD pet CBD company, which will be really, really cool in the future, hopefully. I don't think we'll see the products in Canada because of the laws around celebrities advertising cannabis products, but hopefully in the future we'll see it.
So, and also pet products. It's not legal to sell.
No, it's not legal to sell CBD for
pets yet either. So
if you are looking into that, avoid grapeseed oil tinctures because grapeseed oil is bad for dogs. Avoid that. A lot of them are made with grapeseed oil.
That's a good point. Also, remember at Lyft, when we went to Lyft, remember they shut down the guy that was selling the dog CBD?
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, technically it's illegal. But at the end of the day, we support our markets, we support our local businesses, and we want to see everybody live peacefully and happy. How awesome was that?
And healthy.
Naz looks at me, she's like, what the fuck is he saying? Okay, I gotta, oh jeez, she's just gonna call me on, oh, I missed. Call me on all my stuff. Okay. Naz,
like quarters.
So let's get to our guest today. I'm really excited that Naz is here. Naz has a really interesting story, and I'm going to let her tell her story. But when I met her, she was already on her journey. That was just over maybe a decade ago. What do you mean?
That's not true.
You started. Fuck, we're going to just argue this whole time, aren't we?
That's not true.
You didn't start your journey? Of course you did.
Yeah, but you had already known me, but you didn't know me before I started my journey. I knew you, but just goes in case in point where you didn't even see me
here
at
we go.
all, and I was the same person.
Is this what it's gonna? I was trying to be so kind. Honestly, I was trying to. Is that real?
That's real.
Yeah, no, I do remember you. Here's the truth. I do remember you from before that.
You've never told me you have.
Yeah, so back in the old Emerge, we also, by the way, so let me just introduce you first. Jeez, shut up. Hey, hold on, Lucas. You're in.
I almost got it in that one.
I am getting so much money today.
You haven't sworn yet. That was for Lucas.
No, I can take it all.
You're not taking it all.
Rule.
Okay, that's the new rule. Okay, so let me introduce you to Naz. Naz is a mother. Naz is
That's nice.
But you are.
I know.
Okay.
Okay, go on.
Naz is a mother. We have a 3-year-old daughter. Naz is a nurse. She spent 15 years in the emergency department and then had enough, and I'll let her tell that, at the Hamilton General Hospital. Naz has been for the last decade as well a yogi, and most recently a spin instructor, opening up Spinco, a spin studio here in Hamilton.
Up top.
But it didn't all start like that.
No.
And she started off differently.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always Naz.
Oh, it was always Naz.
She was all no. I still
always
listen.
Naz.
I don't think you were always Naz. By the way, if you see stains on my thing, it's because I spilled a whole mug of. I forgot the mug of coffee was on the
yeah,
console, and I
yesterday.
drove away, and the whole mug was like gonzo. Anyway,
Fun.
yeah. So I really think it's important for people, especially in our environment where we focus on health and wellness, not necessarily image and all these things, but health and wellness. And I want to get into your health and wellness and what really started you on your journey towards that and to where you are today, because you weren't always like that. You actually, and I'll let you tell the story, but you started off 120 pounds heavier than where you are today.
Yeah. Well, I started at 9.8 pounds when I was born.
I'm not talking about when you were born. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I wasn't
Are we just
always.
gonna-
I like that. I like that.
I will.
But no, that's a big baby. Like I started
it is a
I
big
started as an
baby.
overweight child, and it just
You were
went-
born at 9.8 pounds?
Yeah. Right, Mom? Yeah.
All right. Mom's not here.
She's listening.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
She's not a text?
my mom texts you. What kind of question is that?
No, I mean on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
This is going to go great.
It is going great. I'm
Going
enjoying
great
this.
so
I'm
far.
really enjoying
I
this.
honestly feel like after today, everyone's going to want me to be your co-host.
Oh, there
you go.
Oh,
There you
now
go.
she's the co-host. You're going to have to take on Tyler for that role.
Fire me. I don't know.
mean,
Not firing you.
that'd be great.
You're good. Stay. Stop.
Yeah, so started as a pretty big babe, and kind of just kept going from there. I didn't really like health and wellness. I don't know if it's a generational thing, but it wasn't really hammered into us. I don't know. Was it for you when you were growing up? Like you have to eat this and you have to eat that, and you have to be conscious of this. And
I was a
conscious of that.
religious Jewish kid.
I think
Oh,
it was
right.
my because when I was in grade 5 when they did the nutrition break
Like-
instead of recess.
Oh, yeah,
That's
see, I
when
didn't
it
even
all
have that.
really
It was just
started
like-
flipping. Was when I was
You
in
had a
5th grade.
nutrition break?
We had nutrition break instead of recess. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then they took all the
Yeah.
pop out of the soda machines in school, and I started
No,
selling Coca-Cola
yeah.
out of my locker.
Did you
Made
really?
bank.
We had
Yeah.
Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod.
We had jump rope for heart, but other than that, it was
I remember
like
that.
cookies in the cafeteria, and like nothing was really mindful as far as consumption.
Sorry about how loud the next door is, guys.
that's a dance studio?
That's the
Yeah.
dance studio. It's
Okay,
so
they
loud.
add to it. So yeah, just gained a lot of weight. Ended up being an overweight child, an overweight adolescent, an overweight adult. But through that whole time, I mean, and it's anti-bullying week, right? So I think it's great that I'm here today.
Is it really?
Yeah. I think yesterday was actually anti-bullying day, but I think today's.
So we're going to start from here. Stop bullying me.
That was good. Yeah, you got one.
Listen,
There's a difference between tough love and bullying.
Okay. Fair.
it's chemistry.
All right, go. Tell the story.
Yeah, so I was like going back to.
What was it
child-
like in childhood like that?
Awful.
Growing up like that. What do you mean?
I didn't realize it was awful until I'm like now an adult and I have a kid, and I think like our children are very unblurred and see you for who you are. So to want to protect that now, I see how awful I was treated and I was
What do you mean?
bullied. I was only seen.
This is for parents. What do you mean? Like,
Yeah, so I was only, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was only seen for my size, although it felt that way. I was excluded from absolutely everything in middle school, high school. Like, I had a core group of friends who I love, and if you're around, thank you. But as far as being included in dances and like extracurriculars, and who knows if I would have been good at sports. Nobody gave me the opportunity.
hold on. You are a black belt in Taekwondo who trained for the Olympics.
Listen, that was like
This is true.
but that was like something that didn't.
Was
I'm
that
talking
later
about
on?
school and
Earlier
like
on, yeah.
social connections
Okay.
and how they talk about now. We just had this with Cece. Your social connections versus your academic upbringing, I guess, is almost more important. Like your social environment,
right,
your social
yeah.
circle that you put your kid in. I wasn't given that opportunity because I was overweight. Like it's kind of weird when you think about it now. And that's why I said you did know me before, but you didn't see me before.
I did see you. I told you the story.
Listen, do I need to call the therapist? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm telling you, I was sitting
We'll go to that.
I was sitting with Sunil. I'm going to tell you. No, I remember in the old Emerge where you walk in from the EMS from outside, there used to be the doc's office over there.
Correct.
Right? I was sitting with Sunil one day. You walked in the door. I think that was the only time I remember. You asked me a question. See? Okay.
Yeah, so it sucked. It for sure sucked.
What age do you remember?
So I was thinking about this today. There is not a point in my childhood from moment of birth that I ever remember not being made fun of for being overweight.
Really?
Not a day.
By friends and family?
No, by people that I was
brother.
Yeah, sibling, people in school. It was always a topic. It was always an issue. And I remember further back as like grade 1 or grade 2, I was being made fun of on the playground. It was like, and I remember this day as if it was yesterday. And they say like your most prevalent memories is a product of a scar, like something that sticks with you. So like that person that this happened with probably didn't even remember this happened
because it probably wasn't even an issue to them.
Right. But to me, I could carry that with me every single day. It's actually decorated within me now. I remember I was being made fun of, and they started like physically attacking me, and some guy who I don't even know now, he was a couple years older than me, actually jumped on my back. And I could take it because I was a big girl, but he jumped on my back. And that was my tipping point in grade 2.
Grade 2?
Grade 2. I got so angry that I actually, for those of you who can't see me, I'm going to try and explain it. I reached behind my shoulders and I grabbed him by the scruff, like a collar. Grade 2. And I whipped him over in front of me and smacked him in the corner. And I put him down so hard that his glasses broke.
Good for you.
Like as I put him down.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed, but I have to tell you, for someone who was in grade 2,
wow,
it was that moment where I was vindicated by violence.
Interesting.
And that sucks for someone who's that young, right? Because that sort of started to build the exterior of, that's right, I am big, and I'll fuck you up.
Put that in. So your confirmation came through...
My confirmation came through violence.
Through violence?
Yeah.
Because they left you alone after that?
Because they left me alone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty heavy stuff. What kind of messaging then do you think, being anti-bullying week, what kind of messaging then do you give a parent from you being at age, you're not there now, but
no, I'm definitely
from
not
you
there.
Looking where you are now, looking back on that and looking at other parents and other people who suffer from the same thing, and they have kids who are in grade 2, and how old are you in grade 2? You're what, 6?
7 or 6, yeah.
6 or 7 years old. Like, what would you tell a parent at that time? Because we talk about nutrition all the time for kids.
Yeah,
we take Cece. Cece eats McDonald's every so often.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're honest here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she goes and has her. Well, she's like a keto kid because all she'll eat is the damn burger.
Yeah.
But the what do you tell a kid? Being from where your perspective right now, or what do you tell a parent from your perspective right now, thinking about where you are today? We haven't even got to what happened to you, but
no.
But you remember these things from being at such a young age.
Totally.
So
I don't remember. Like I said, I don't remember a time where I wasn't made fun of. But I think a lot of it comes from home. But I mean, my parents never made it an issue. They were like so loving and so great. I mean, my brother made fun of me a lot, but that's like whatever, sibling stuff.
It's what brothers do.
It's what brothers do, right? But I
had 2 sisters, and all they did was make fun of me.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Your sisters tortured you.
Literally.
Yeah.
Put me in baby doll nightgowns.
But to answer your question, I think
Is there pictures?
To say that it only starts at home is incorrect. You had Vince on last week.
Yeah.
Vince is actually putting himself within the schools, which is something I've done since I've been on this road. And we have to convey the message of what one word, it's not necessarily a punch, it's not, physical violence. One word can skew someone's entire childhood.
Words are very important.
Into their adulthood. That little girl that was me throughout my whole childhood still lives within me, and to stay focused and to stay mindful and to stay stable, I have to pull her out and I have to talk to her a few times and be like, you are feeling this way as an adult in this current body because of how you felt in 1990 whatever, you know? So it's like those scars build and build and build and build. So it goes back to the root of just be kind and be mindful of your words and don't be a fucking asshole. Is that too?
Yeah, see?
Like, don't be
you think
a
you know where this you got it.
Hole.
You see where all the swearing comes from? You should try being in her house. Can you imagine? Poor Cece has no hope.
Right? I think it just
terms of
comes down to
swearing.
not being a dick.
That counts as a thing. That's not $1. Keep your listen. We got to conserve here. You swear a lot.
When I'm passionate, yeah.
I see that. Actually, you raised some really good points, like how important words are that we don't really recognize. It was probably wasn't even important to that kid what they were saying.
I don't think
they weren't
anybody
even
remembers.
thinking about it. But that also brings up another issue in my mind for children and for parents. Where do we draw that line between health and mindfulness? If we don't, obesity is our largest the largest problem we have today in society in terms of comorbidities, in terms of death, in terms of all the negative effects that come from obesity. How do we draw that line, and how do you teach a child to love themselves for who they are? But we also have to worry about what their nutrition is and being overweight and those things. I'm not saying that one needs to be like a magazine stick figure. And actually,
I hope not.
I mean, even today, though, if we
It comes down to role models in education.
Totally.
But how
And
do you
talking to your kid. Like, I talk to Cece every single time she's done school. What did you do today? How did that make you feel? Who did you talk to? Did you compliment somebody today? Like, did somebody compliment you? Did somebody make you feel sad? I think it's just like talking about it and getting it out of her is more therapeutic than for her to go to bed thinking she was sad at school because someone didn't play with her, or, you know, any feeling she had that she goes in at night and buries, much like I did every single day of my childhood. I think to just get it out. Like, talk to your kid. How was your day? Did somebody make you feel happy today? Tell me about it.
So you got through elementary still being bullied.
Like right until high school.
What happened in high school? You were the same right up until, so what happened?
So in 2000, I was always, just overweight, but...
Were you active? You were active, though. So you were still active. You were doing...
I wasn't super active. I was just doing martial arts.
Is that why you started martial arts, do you think?
To lose weight?
No.
No,
that's not... No,
Oh,
to
to
beat the shit out of these bullies.
No, I don't think so. Like, I'd never...
You suck.
I do suck at shooting.
You
after-
suck times two.
After grade 2, when what is that wrestling move called, by the way? Does anybody know?
Throw somebody over your head from behind?
Is it a thrust?
No, it's
Dude, I don't know what you're talking about.
like when you do it the other way, it's called a suplex.
Right.
A reverse suplex.
Anyways, since that moment, I've never been violent with anything in my life. 'Cause
Sure.
That's just... Excuse. I haven't.
All right, no.
I mean, have I?
No.
Oh. Yeah, like I've never
Plates.
been in a fight or...
Chairs.
Really?
No, go on.
I've never been in a fight or like been one to enjoy confrontation at all. I've just had that moment, but that moment sticks out for me. But yeah, so that carried on until about 2001, at the end of 2001, because I had just started in the Emerge at the Hamilton General.
You went into nursing, straight out of high school.
Went into nursing straight out of high school, graduated, got my first job at the Hamilton General ER, was hired because I was a student there. This, wide-eyed 19-year-old kid who was seeing brains and guts everywhere, and I had
That's crazy.
no idea what I was getting myself into.
You worked through SARS.
I worked through SARS. That was hell.
What happened? I'll get into the rest later, but we'll move on. But I want to talk about SARS a second. So you were working in Emerge. I remember I was in medical school.
So all the academic, all the residents, all the
weren't
academic,
allowed in.
any learners weren't allowed into the hospital. It was just frontline staff, and we didn't know what we were getting. We didn't know what was coming through the door. We had to wear these like filtered N95 masks. They're just like special masks that don't let particles of spit in. But we ran out. So we had to recycle our masks.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. So we ran out close to the end of isolation and quarantine, and we had to like keep our masks in our locker and wear them the next day, which is like quality control of nothing.
No.
But we had to.
So gross.
And it was the creepiest thing. Like, we had to park and go into the parkade, get our temperature checked, make sure we were within normal limits, get a whole questionnaire. Have you been? Are you? This, cough, fever, everything, runny nose. And then we'd go to work, and you could throw a bowling ball through the hospital because there was like nobody there except for the frontline workers. And it was scary because anybody who came in with a fever, cough, whatever, it could have been it.
Yeah, could
And
That's
just-
crazy.
And we didn't know. And at the end of it all, when they lifted the quarantine or isolation or the SARS proofing, they gave us a ticket to the CN Tower.
That is amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you. Here's a ticket to the...
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like
You're
to
a
get up
great
the
Canadian
elevator?
attraction.
Just like, here's a free ticket to the CN Tower.
Isn't the CN Tower free anyway?
I don't know.
I think it is. I think it is.
Yeah. Like, thanks for risking your life. Oh, and if we didn't show up, like, that's an abandonment of duties. Like, you have to show up. You're a frontline worker. Which I totally understand.
There's significant mental health currently with frontline workers happening with
Right?
suicidality and mental
crazy.
health. And they keep forgetting that emergency workers are frontline workers.
100%.
I know.
The emergency department, they seem to forget that where does
I know.
everybody go when police are done with them and fire doesn't know, when nobody knows, and paramedics, they all bring it to you.
I know.
And it's your responsibility.
And
at
nurses
the end
died
of the day.
during SARS, but you didn't really hear anything about
No,
it.
nurses died, doctors died.
Yeah.
Nurses are dying currently.
Yeah.
Not from SARS, but from mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think these things are super important to raise. Anyway, okay, so back to 2001.
Yeah, so I started
crazy
to get
story.
these. So I was 250 pounds. That was my 265. That was probably my heaviest. And I started getting these like terrible headaches. The only way I can explain it, I've said this to you before, is if you put a head in a mechanical vise and somebody kept turning and turning and turning to the point of explosion. That's exactly what it felt like. It eventually got so bad that I couldn't hear anymore. Like, I felt this like wave-like pressure in my ear. It felt like I was underwater the whole time. And then lastly, I started losing my peripheral vision. So I could only see just narrow tunnel vision and nothing on the outsides. So everybody was worried, obviously, that I had some sort of brain tumor. I went to the doctor and they filled out a rec for a CAT scan. And at that point, I was working in the Emerge, so I knew what I was reading. And on the clinical history side, it said rule out space occupying lesion. So they're going in there looking for a tumor because of all of these symptoms. So I was totally freaked out. Went in, and it ended up that I didn't have a space occupying lesion, but I had some like weakness to the atrophy to the ventricles in my brain. So they had to figure it out. So they went and did Michelle Wellsford actually, went and did a lumbar puncture. And a lumbar puncture is a spinal tap, so you just take a needle and put it in the hole in your lower back, in between a couple of
There's
your
no hole. You have to
vertebrae.
make the hole.
You make the hole.
Put it between the vertebrae.
I'm not
bones.
downplaying your responsibilities, doctor. There's just a hole you gotta make.
Hey, what are you making this voice for?
So anyways, they put it in, and your brain fluid goes down this spinal column of yours.
I'm sorry it's so loud. It's like super loud.
It's fine. We're fine.
All right.
We'll be good.
And it's supposed to drip out of your back like a slow faucet, but when they introduced the needle into my back, it like sprayed to the other side of the room. So there was so much pressure. But the minute she did that, I was like reborn. The headache went away. The like whooshing
Was
in
this
the
the
ears
first
went
time
away.
you had a headache though? Was it, or were you having headaches for a while?
No, it was like the very first time there was like a big thunderous moment. And like
I thought you went unconscious, or you were
No,
like,
I was confused. So if I was holding a water bottle in my left-hand side, and I wanted to take the cap off, but I was opening the cap with my right hand, like 5 meters away. Like I just couldn't
You were, like,
identify.
trying
No
to-
motor skills.
I had no motor skills. Like I could not put it together. So once they drained the fluid from my brain and my brain was able to breathe again because it wasn't suffocated by all this fluid, my headache went away. And immediately the water came off of the optic nerve because it was dumping on my optic nerve, which was why I was losing my peripheral vision. I could see again. And then the wave-like ocean sound in my ear was gone. And immediately, instead of having like a wake-up moment or like, why did this happen? I was like, great, you fixed me. Let's get out of here. Like I didn't want to know the whys, the what's going to happen again. I just wanted to get out of there and get back to work and get back to my normal, unhealthy life. Like,
What
I
were
was
you
okay with
doing
it.
that was unhealthy at that time?
Well, I wasn't active at all.
Okay.
Like I'd stopped being active.
It's hard in university, though. You were in university. What do you do in university? You
Eat.
You eat
Yeah.
pizza.
Yeah.
Cheap.
It's cheap. And
Yeah.
and
Pizza,
mac-
Mr.
And I
Noodles.
just never got on top of it. So whatever weight was there before just kept compounding. Like the unhealthier I got.
Yeah.
And at least I was moving with martial arts before. I wasn't moving anymore. So they ended up diagnosing me with a idiopathic disorder, idiopathic meaning they don't know why, called pseudotumor cerebri. So pseudo, fake, tumor, cerebri, brain. So all of my symptoms act as if I do have a brain tumor, but I don't.
you have fluid on the
I
brain.
have fluid on the
instead.
brain. Yeah, it's happens to women within childbearing age who are obese. That's just those are the parameters and those are the inclusion criteria of pseudotumor cerebri. So I was fine.
Nothing. Said we're good.
So I was fine, and then I kept going in, and they kept doing it and doing it and doing it.
So really, so at this time, it still didn't click in your head. There's something you need to do about it. This also comes back to This comes back to something about the emergency department as well.
Life or limb, it doesn't matter.
Life or limb,
It doesn't
everything
matter.
else
Everything
doesn't
else
matter.
doesn't matter.
I mean, and I agree with that. Like in a certain way, the emergency department is for life or limb. But if we can avoid
workers,
the
though.
life at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we need to start thinking. People need to think about that. Emergency workers, the emergency department, all that stuff. Think about how we can help people more than let's save the life and then give them like one little tidbit. Go away, be healthy.
Right.
Okay, anyway. Yeah, go on.
No, I agree. I agree.
Wow.
said I agree.
Hey! Woo!
Peace.
Original. Yeah, I should have you on here every week.
I'll never say it again. Just kidding. Yeah, so they had to go in and do more lumbar punctures and more lumbar punctures because the fluid was still being made in excess because I didn't stop the problem. So,
But we still didn't say what the problem was.
I just said pseudotumor cerebri.
No, I know, but
I'm not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Because the light bulb still
Right,
didn't click that
right.
I needed to do
Understood.
something. So after I had 4 or 5 lumbar punctures and then complications from them, because I kept having to have them repeated, then the hole was not closing. So I was actually draining too much fluid, and it was going the opposite way now.
So you're getting headaches from that too.
So I was getting headaches
Jesus.
from the hole not closing up, and then they would
I
have to
guess
do a blood patch.
Is that swearing? Jesus? Fuck
to
it.
some.
Yeah.
Hey, that was
We
a good
respect
shot.
everyone.
That was good. You finally got it.
Yeah.
So then after about 5, they asked me to go see a neurologist and figure out what we're going to do.
After the 5th time. So you've been going back. Is this over a year?
And emerge, yeah.
That's crazy. Nobody figured out you had pseudotumor, but they didn't
Yeah.
say. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So I went to a neurologist, and the neurologist said, you have 2 options. Your first option, which has to happen pretty quickly, is we have to put a catheter in your brain, a VP shunt in your brain, that the end of the catheter will stick in your ventricle of your brain. You'll have a little button underneath your scalp. The rest of the catheter will come into your peritoneal cavity of nothing.
Into your gut.
Yeah, like your gut. And every time you get a headache, you press this button, and it'll dump the fluid, the excess fluid, into dead space, and you'll be fine.
It'll dump so in essence, the shunt will allow fluid to drain into your gut to take the fluid off your brain.
Right. With that, you'll be in the OR constantly. Like I was, I think 20 at the time. You'll be in the OR constantly. These things get blocked all the time. You still haven't addressed the issue of your obesity. He's like, that's not my area, but not only will you have this, but you'll also have diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease. 1 in 5 women die of heart disease. Like you're on a trajectory of hell. And still, I'm like, so now what? And he goes, or option B is I'll continue doing these lumbar punctures for you if you can lose 50 pounds in 1 year. Because by you losing weight, you're losing water. And the only way to keep this disease at bay, disease? Do I call it a disease?
It is a disease, yeah.
Is to keep your body mass small. And by doing that, you will not have to get the shunt, and you will not end up with long-term diabetes. He's like, it's a win-win. Yeah. Try it on.
So you have 2 options. Either you get a shunt or you lose weight.
Shunt, lose weight, period. See you later. You make your decision, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what happens? What's going through your brain?
What's going through my brain? Yet another person telling me I'm overweight. Yet another person that's like making fun of me for something. Like immediately it's like you get my back
right
up.
to the defense.
Right. It was the only thing I can control was standing in my own 250 pounds and living life without
giving a fuck.
Without giving a fuck.
All right. Well, we both swore there.
Yeah. So does it cancel each other out?
I can't.
We're gonna have a thing. We're gonna.
Is it like a tossing thing?
No, you can put it in, but he's trying to
move
toss
it closer
but he
to
just
me.
sucks.
Hey, you give me a golf ball, I'll get it in every time.
All right, fair.
Yeah, so I was pretty pissed off. Like I was angry. Like I didn't want to do it. I was angry. I didn't know where to begin. I had such a long road to go. And like just the idea of 50 pounds just got me angry. So I went to see my family doctor, and he said, go see a nutritionist. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I went to go see.
So you've made a decision. You're going to try doing option.
Well, of course, yeah. Like I mean,
well, not of course, but because I'll tell you, we see in our clinic how many people say, "I'd love to lose weight. I'd love to do this. I don't have." Are you drinking mine now? Okay, just pour half of it in there. We can still go sharesies. No,
it's like 30% of our patients.
At least 30%. I'm going to say as high as 60% of our patients all have this thing. They know they have diabetes. They have high blood pressure. Some of them have pseudotumor cerebri. They're 300 pounds. They're 260, 300 pounds.
Right.
But it doesn't click in their head, I need to make that change. So where was it? You were 20, so you were young.
Yeah.
What was in your mind at that time, do you think, that said, because a shunt is really easy.
So I still hadn't clicked yet. The moment I clicked, so I went through the path of discovering what it's going to take to lose 50 pounds on the assumption that someone's going to give me a pill or someone's going to shrink my stomach and they're going to do it for me. I'm not going to do it for me. So I was still in this sort of big ego, self-defense mode, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then I went to go see the nutritionist, and she made me click. She called me from the minute she saw my energy. And I sat in front of her, super, like, guarded and angry and, like, not interested in seeing her, but yet going to her for help because I felt like I had to, because the doctor said so. And I was like, okay, well, like, it's exactly my attitude when I was speaking to her. Okay, like, I need to lose 50 pounds, so what am I going to eat? What are you going to do? Are you going to put me on a plan? Like, what's going on here? And she was like, yeah, I'll put you on a plan. And she just, like, shoved her rolling chair back and opened up her filing cabinet and whipped out the Canada Food Guide, which has now changed for the better, I get it. But at the time, it was better than what I was doing.
Yeah, of course.
She picked up the Canada Food Guide and threw it across the table and went, now you can get out of my office. And I was like, I say, what? I go, what do you want me to do with this? She goes, eat properly, move your body, read one piece of paper, and get out of my office.
Wow.
Yeah. She's like, you are 20 years old. Get your shit together. And I was like, okay, finally, someone, like...
called you on your shit.
She called me on my shit. That was my big flip.
Right, there's a lot of swear.
You responded to strong authority.
I responded to someone who was not like, we're so sorry you're going through this.
Yeah.
And although I appreciate those people that were there for me and cared for me and were hurting for me, they still didn't see that rough and tough self-defense, build up a wall girl that just needed to be knocked down a peg. And she did from the minute I walked through the door. So I did. I was like, fuck you then. Fine, I will. Like, okay.
She's like a child. Like a fucking, like a child, this one.
Yeah, if you think I can't,
right.
I'll show you.
There you go. There's the child. There it is. There's Naz Pitbull. I call her Pitbull.
That's exactly
Let her off the
what
leash.
happened. She called me, and I was like, I'll trump you, and it worked. It totally worked.
So what did you do? How do you start? How did you start? So you said, here's the Canadian Food Guide. I have thousands of patients. I say, here's the Canadian Food Guide. Nothing changes.
Yeah, but it depends what their habits were before. My habits were terrible before. So all I really had to do, as soon as I stopped drinking pop, I lost 10 pounds. You know what I mean? As soon as I changed not eating after 8 o'clock, I lost some more weight. You know, it just, those little things changed. And I ended up seeing her like every week.
So you still made a commitment. You were
She had a
paying for this?
Big board. No, it was all covered.
Okay, so that's a big barrier for us today because none of this is covered. You were a nurse, so you had it covered.
Yeah, and I also we have like hereditary high cholesterol in our family, so she would do blood tests to check my triglycerides all the time. That's another thing. I was on anti-cholesterol medication in grade 5.
What?
Yeah, grade 5.
Holy
All
crap.
kinds of crazy
That's
stuff.
wow.
Yeah.
Are you on it? You're not on that now.
No, now I'm fine.
Okay, I should know that.
Yeah.
I should have known that. I'm good. No, I'm a good guy. Here I am.
Next of
Sorry.
kin,
Hey,
power of attorney.
Who's the next of kin there?
No, but grade 5.
Really? Mm-hmm. Do I need to take a... Okay. Look, I was going to say life insurance policy. Here we go. No. So what do you mean? So, okay, I get that. So you started doing...
So yeah, I saw
When did
her.
you start, like,
So in
eating?
the first year, just by changing like the eating out and the eating habits and just sort of diving into food a little bit and learning about stuff.
Were you cooking?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had a very unsupportive partner at the time, so that was very difficult. Like I had someone chirping in my ear every single day that statistically I'm going to gain the weight anyways, and yeah, so that was a tough battle, but I got through it because I was going to do it. And in the first year, I lost 75 pounds without
Wow.
moving.
No exercise.
0.
Just diet.
Just diet.
Nutrition. How do you stay motivated during
Because you
those
see
times?
it. Because you see it,
You
right?
need to see the change.
Yeah, you start checking in, and then all of a sudden you start feeling better, and I'm actually really not tired in the morning.
So there needs to be a check and a balance.
There
That's
needs
a
to
good
be
point.
Checking the balance. Yeah.
There needs so that you're held accountable.
So that was my next
Accountability.
point. An accountability person, whether it's your next door neighbor or somebody that's developed a program for you or a trainer, like to check in with someone is money. Like just to be like, hey, or being in a group. I just talked about this with Martine yesterday. Like having a group of people who support you on your journey is awesome. Mm-hmm. So that would be like my biggest advice for somebody who wanted to make a huge shift is find someone that you can talk to about and say, today I didn't do great but tomorrow I'm going to do this and I'm going to feel better. So holding yourself accountable is huge. But so the first year, just food, 75. And then I plateaued. So the advice given to me was it's time to move your body. But again, the little girl starts to come out and I cannot go to a gym. Like those in my brain, that's like the community that
made fun of you.
Yeah, I don't even want to say that because I don't want to victimize myself. But like
no, but you were. That's
and I don't
okay.
want to label that community.
But it
was
not. No, incorrect.
But in my
in
brain,
your mind, they were.
In the story that I created, yes, they were definitely the people that wouldn't accept me
in
anywhere.
the story that you created. Those are interesting words because for the most part, it wasn't reality.
No,
the reality was when you were in grade 2. That was happening, and maybe throughout in high school.
Yeah, when I started as an adult and an overweight nurse, I never felt.
But you had the trauma and
I had the trauma,
the post-traumatic
trauma.
stress,
Yeah.
which most of us have in one way or another. That we create stories in that that colors how we see the world. That's the
100%.
confirmation bias
Yeah.
that we all have. And that's
It
what
sucks.
Gabor Mate, that's why I always talk about that guy. That's what he says. It's the trauma of childhood that we even subconsciously thrown away that produces those stories for us.
I think we dealt with it, but not really.
We haven't dealt with shit.
No.
No. We still deal with that. Okay.
I'm like, it's still coming out with me now, right? Like,
clearly.
I'm still working on it.
Right. So what did you do? How did you convince yourself that it was time to go get active?
I plateaued, and I was so vitalized and energized by progress, and then the progress stopped, so I fell into a funk, and I was like, well, now it's not working anymore, and I need to do something else. So advice, you got to move your body. Okay, great. So this coupled with nutrition, you'll be great. Still wasn't ready to go to a gym, and randomly one morning I was eating my All Bran, and I opened up the box, and inside was a yoga DVD. And I was like, I'll try this. And it was like Kellogg's sponsor, All Bran sponsored. They don't sponsor me. I'm just saying that this worked. And I was like, fine, I'll flip it on. And I didn't even have a mat. I was like, I'm just going to put this on and see what this is about. And I practiced to that same fucking DVD.
She swears a lot too. See where it comes from?
Every day for the next year.
Really?
And lost another 45 pounds.
Just doing this one DVD.
The same sequence every single day, every single morning, connected breath to body and did some mindful stuff, and I got a mat, and this was my little safe space. And then I plateaued again. And it was like, hey, well, you have to move now on from, continue your yoga practice.
So now you're at 75 plus 40 already.
Yeah.
Who's doing math here?
Yeah.
We have four people going, meh. You know, 7 plus 4 is what?
7 plus 4 is 11.
There you go. So you're looking at 110 pounds.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yaka!
And then plateaued again. So I decided to go to a women's only gym. And
why? But so here's the interesting. I know you went to a women's only gym, and I hear this often from women. Women tend to judge women far harsher than men judge each other, or even than men judge women. Is that what do you feel about that statement?
No.
Okay.
I
mean,
don't know.
I'm willing to listen. I just know that women,
I think
a
it's
women's
getting
locker
better.
room
I
is
think-
a very intimidating place to be, from what I hear from other women.
Oh, I don't feel that at all.
No?
No.
Okay. That's good to hear,
No,
I
because,
usually hear
like-
the other way.
Well, maybe I don't know. No, I didn't feel that at all.
Okay.
I felt safer there.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the women's only gym, too, is of other women who don't feel comfortable in a co-ed environment. So I think we all had a commonality,
Okay.
right? So that kind of brought us together, like women for religious reasons or modest reasons. Like they wanted to be there, too. And I needed to be there because I didn't feel comfortable going into a big, bad co-ed gym with, like, smashing weights and... Yeah, it didn't feel right. So I went to a women's only gym. I hired a personal trainer, and because again, didn't know what I was doing, and I learned a lot about lifting and weights.
What
and
kept you motivated?
results?
Results driven.
Result. It was like a thrust of confidence every time I proved to myself that I could do something. And throughout the 3.5 years that I lost 120 to 130-ish pounds, I found out a lot about myself in that I could do it. Like, I became this powerhouse of, if I could do this, I can fucking do anything.
Yeah.
And then it just got me into more things, like lifting heavier and stepping out of my comfort zone and going to co-ed gyms, and I can pick that up, and I can teach yoga, and like I can deliver this sense of passion that I buried for so long because I was overweight. That's insane. So it's like I'm living all those years now.
All the stuff that you missed out.
All the stuff that I missed out on, and like showing people who I am, and delivering from a place of passion versus just, waltzing through life like I used to be. That's why I'm just like, everyone's like, where do you get your energy? Like, why are you so crazy? Like, how are you like this all the time? Because the time is now. I finally found my now.
Because for so long you were living in your head of the past, And
I still am a little bit.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody does in the stories that we create about ourselves and our environments around us. But once you have that sort of yucca, euphoric more, or that like, what's that called when you...
Aha moment.
Don't ever... Alternative Health Association, check it out. Not-for-profit.
Aha.
Eureka. The eureka moment is like, wow, what have I been spending all my time to right now? So then let me ask you this. I mean, that story, so then you go, so you become a yoga, so you've been doing yoga now for a whole time. Now I know you, and you become a yoga instructor.
Yeah.
Because you found your, I mean, you started with yoga. So yoga is really what got you moving to start.
Correct.
And so you found your passion within yoga, and that's where you found your voice. I feel like you started finding your voice through yoga as well.
Yeah.
And that connection to a body and breath sort of helps people through that. Or maybe I'm wrong. You're a powerhouse.
No, but you know what it is, though, too? It's like when I
keep that open for time.
see people in a room in front of me, I want to just, like, transfer the feeling of powerhouse to them.
But it's hard. They can't get... How do you... So this was the question that came in. Somebody wants to start. You had a medical reason.
Had I not had that medical reason, I promise you I never would have lost weight.
So how do we tell somebody now? So how does somebody learn from somebody else's mistakes? That's what I mean, at the end of the day, how do you tell somebody who doesn't see the effects of what their issue or their health has on them now, because they won't see it till they're 50, 60 years old?
I think it's changed, though. I think people see it. I didn't identify it within myself. Right? I didn't identify it within myself that there needed to be a change because of, I don't know, maybe it was years of bullying or years of just not being accepted because of how I looked. I was just like, well, this is it. But I was sort of forced out of that. When would I have come to a
Did you ever accept
Jesus
yourself?
moment? I have no idea. Absolutely not.
Do you think that now that you've gone through all that, you accept yourself?
Yes.
A lot more than you have.
100%.
Do you still see yourself as that 10-year-old kid?
Depends what I'm triggered.
Right. You
Right?
still have triggers. So you still have
100%.
to know these triggers.
Yeah, but I'm able to identify the triggers now, whereas before I would have made everything someone else's fault. Maybe you.
I don't know. I don't think that's changed. I'm just saying.
Because of how that...
Everybody's got a lot of goddamn drama. That's what I got to say. We all got issues. Yeah.
Because of
very
how that
much
little
so.
girl felt.
Right. So what would you tell somebody who hasn't had pseudotumor cerebri, wasn't told that she's going to have a shunt in her brain?
Yes.
What would you tell her, and how would you tell her to start, and where does that motivation
I wouldn't tell them
start?
to start. Because it's not me that's going to get them to start. My question would be, are you happy? Are you happy? I think that's where it starts, right? If you start doing something for somebody else, it's not going to work. We've learned that, right?
Right.
You have to ask yourself, am I happy? Yes, no, and then write it down. And it's not, it's not clear cut. It's not, yes, I'm 100% satisfied, or no, I hate everything. You write your points under why yes and why no, and what you're willing to shift. And once you identify that, well, then the rest will just happen. Then you seek out your resources, or you call me at Schnazzy.
Jesus.
One. Or you just like, you ask someone, you ask your
Right.
friends, you ask your safe spaces, and they can navigate you. Or, I mean, in the city alone, there are tons of people that help people on their journey.
Would you help others if they contacted you?
100%.
I mean, you do already. Of course, your yoga... Listen, so this is a woman. I go to her yoga classes. I go to her spin classes. They are sold out. You can't get in unless you sign up a week beforehand. But I think a lot of that driving force comes from, and the way that you speak, you somehow are able to merge together the fitness, because you're all about fitness. You're more, I would say you're more about the fitness than the other stuff, right? Which I think makes sense to me, because for you, you've got to stay fit.
But the fitness
you bring
makes
in,
me feel the other stuff.
That's right.
I'm not led by the other stuff.
That's
like getting
because you're
into a
results-driven.
meditative... Right.
your result, and which is also an emerge mentality. Someone's dead, we need to revive them, we need to move forward.
Right.
It's results driven. We don't have the time. We also live in a world, actually that's really important, because we also live in a world that's results driven. We like instant gratification all the time. Right?
Social media, it's right there in front of us.
I mean, I'm not saying anything's even wrong with that. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's good. It has its good and its bad, I think. I like instant gratification. We all like to see our results. But so I actually want to go back a second. How long did it take for you you said your first 20 pounds or 10 pounds came off from just stopping pop. Yeah, but you didn't see that right away, so you had to stop pop. When did you start seeing the first results?
The first week. The first week I started seeing results.
Because you just changed one thing. But so many people change one thing and don't see results.
So, I mean, like the old school study says 21 days to create a habit or something. Like that? Is that true?
Right.
It's a book.
I don't know.
Yeah. 21 days.
I'm just a doctor. I don't fucking know. What do I know? Jeez. All right.
It's like the 21 Good Habits of a Successful Professional or something. It's a good book.
Yeah.
I had to read it in college.
I mean, you just...
I thought it was 7 days.
That's when God made
I think
the earth.
it always comes back to...
I knew I learned some religion.
that first list that you make. Am I happy? Yes, no, columns. And then go back to it. Go back to it. Why am I doing this? Like internal sunshine, internal happiness bleeds onto everybody else.
Right.
And then your whole life will fall into place the way it should be if you lead with your happiness first, right? We've discussed that.
Right.
I think writing it down is really important.
Writing it down
Because you can
huge.
say it over and
Journaling
over
is-
in your head.
Yes.
Write it down.
5-minute
you can
journal
visually see it.
in the mornings, huge. Whether it's in your phone, mine it's in my phone every morning.
And we also, but genetics play a huge factor here as well. But I don't know how, genetically, so I just look at myself. I train every day. I eat relatively healthy. I'd say 75% of what I eat is clean, 25, maybe less than that. Maybe 15% of what I eat is unclean. I can't lose 5 pounds for the life of me.
You can.
No.
What happens at 2:30 in the morning when you eat the entire thing of peanut butter because you fell asleep on the couch?
What are we talking about?
I mean,
that's not true.
2 date cookies in one day.
Journal it, write it down.
Oh, shut up, all of you.
It's not true. You can't say I can't do anything. You can lose 5 pounds. You have lost 5 pounds.
Right.
Look at our photo. We've just looked at photos of you and I together like 10 years
Right.
ago, and you're like, whoa.
Right.
Like I've gotten fitter.
Yeah.
Since.
Right. Well, since finishing residency, certainly the last couple of years. It's very hard in a busy life to do these things. So what do you tell somebody who's got a busy life, who like me? I work all the time. We have tons of shit that we do, that everybody
Do you remember what Mark said about that?
What did
Even
he
if you like to do it the 2 minutes you get parked in your car before you go and enter somewhere.
There you go.
You can always find times in the day. It's just how
Totally.
you find them.
Okay. All
Before
good
you wake
points.
up.
Right.
Like Cece, for example, when she was a baby, she used to wake up at 6, so I'd set my alarm at 4:30 to go work out. Right? Like an
Right.
outrageous hour, not having slept, but I knew how I felt not doing it, and it was way worse than how I felt waking up at 4:30. Why? Because it made me happy.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Right.
It made me unhappy to not move and get my meditation through movement. What made me happy was moving, regardless of waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Remember, you'd be like, "Where are you going? You're nuts.
You're nuts.
You're crazy."
Yeah, I do. You would go and do
At
that
4:30.
Yeah, it was kooky. I mean, I like to train when I feel like training.
Right.
Which is when, by the way, when is the best time to train?
Morning, right?
No,
No,
the best
when you
time.
feel like it.
The best time to train is when you feel like training.
And I don't feel
I
like
like
it.
8:30 at night's my time.
That's
Right.
the literature. The literature would say you exercise when you feel like exercising
Your
because
result- yeah,
you're
you'll-
more effective.
You're motivated.
If when you get those moments where you're like, shit, I want to work out right now.
Yeah.
Or it's those
Yep.
moments, I gotta go to the gym right now, or I gotta be active, but I'm dragging my heels. I don't want to do it. So it's important. What are you doing?
Give me the time.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't worry, I got you. We got like 9 minutes. Don't worry.
So quick.
Nah, I know. See, it goes quick. We have
Can
a
we have a
blast
part
here.
2? I have so much more to say. What are you talking about Spinco?
No, we didn't know, but you get to plug all that stuff now. Don't
I don't
worry.
want to plug it. I want to talk about it.
Okay, well, I want to talk about it as well. I just want to finish
Part
with
2?
one last thing. We can have a part 2, but we have 10 minutes left. It's a lot of time to
Co-host?
talk. No, Jesus.
I'm the co-host.
This is the co-host. You are not the co-host. So I just want to, first of all, I think your story is spectacular, and it's really motivating for a lot of people. You lost 130 pounds.
Correct.
That's not something people do.
17 years ago.
Right. And you kept it off.
Yeah.
Man, how did you keep it off?
Well, look what I do now.
Right. You're just active all day.
All day long.
All day. And you can eat 6,000 calories all day. You have to. If you don't eat 6,000 literally, she eats 4 times the amount that I eat, but she has to because that's the only way. And I know you don't like even when I say it, but you do. But the only way.
You know why? Because I feel I'm being made fun of, right?
Right. I get that.
Right? It's all
right.
like trigger. It's
Right.
all this like itch scratch cycle, right? Like you tell me, oh my God, how can you eat that much? Immediately, I'm like, back to that. Well, I don't sound like that.
No, okay.
Back to that feeling
Right.
of being made fun of.
Right. But I'm not. What I'm telling.
Of course you're not.
Right.
I know you're not.
I'm
You're not a
telling you
monster.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I
that
know.
you need to do that because you burn 10,000 calories a day just doing you.
Right.
You've changed your entire metabolism, and that's huge.
Yeah.
Just before we talk about Spinco. So what's happening now? So now we're starting and we're partnering on it.
Yeah, but even like
But
starting.
what got you into that? What do you love about Spinco?
So I did this type of indoor riding. So for those of you who don't know, like Spinco is a awesome 800 square foot dark box with about 40
Some odd.
like-minded people just ready to fucking crush shit out, you know? Like
She swears more than I. That's
empower each
Jesus
other. It is the
Christ.
most uplifting hour I've probably had in a long time since I've been alive. So we motivate each other. We're there for each other. We hold each other accountable, and we just move to music, and we ride to the beat of the music. And you've been, Tyler.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah, and there's a certain like switch of magic that happens in that room that gets you coming back, and you'll understand it when you try. And I knew, being from Hamilton, now being an instructor in Oakville, that this was me. Like I found me. Like the sentence "I am home." Like that's home for me. I want to do this.
Is it
forever.
that you're in front of people, you're doing your thing? Like I go to your classes all the time, and you're super
No, 'cause
motivating. You're in,
as much like yoga, as much as a rider is there for their experience, I'm there for the same thing. So together, when we like get it, I leave that hour taller, prouder, enlightened, like all of those things.
you get your energy from
I
being
get my
active
energy
and being around
from being
other
around
people.
those people. Yeah,
Right.
like I need to be around those people. And they just take me to another place. So Spinco Hamilton. We're
When's
doing
it happening?
Summer.
Wow. And so right now you're hiring what are-
Instructors.
right. So
Yeah.
if anybody wants to be an instructor, send her a video. No, it's
Send
not
me an
you.
email.
It doesn't go to you. It goes
Send
to
an email
corporate.
at
Corporate makes all these
info-hamilton.
decisions, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's amazing what you've done and where you've come from and I think it's motivating for other people. Other people need to hear the story that it's doable. Sure, your motivation wasn't just because the click. You set up so many defensive plays in your brain to say, I don't have a problem because of all the stuff that happened to us as children, or to you, I would say, as a child. We all do that. We all create our own defense mechanisms to try to avoid dealing with what we have in front of us because it hurts too much. So we put all that stuff away.
Yeah.
And you were lucky enough to have a medical issue standing in front of you that said, life or death right now, you make your decision. Do you want to live or die? But even then, most people, it's like, fuck, it's still brutal. Like, how do you like to do that? And so you took that step and you moved it forward to where you're today. Everything you do is around fitness, health, and lifestyle, and you're still out helping people and doing all these things. Resources, like you were saying, call you
Just phone a friend.
actually interesting. I wrote down a list of all these things that you said today that I think are really important to remember. Admission of problem and acceptance of self is that first step.
Yeah.
Right? And to recognize that there is something there.
But that doesn't come until you answer the question,
Are
am
you
I
happy? Right. So that was my second thing. I said, am I happy? Right? You said that. Am I happy? So that's the first question you have to ask yourself.
very first question.
Right, but that comes with acceptance of or acknowledgement of a problem.
Yeah.
So you acknowledge.
No, I think anybody can ask themselves that question, and
Well, of
through it they
course.
can find so
Okay.
much.
All right.
I think it starts with, am I happy?
All right, before admission of a right. So, am I happy? Then, if I'm not, why am I not happy? Is the admission of a problem?
Yeah, you can have
Okay.
subheadings like professional, personal, health. Like you can write all of these things down and take some time and
And then
have your
I-
morning coffee and write it down.
Other things I had in here that you spoke about were setting
Yeah,
Setting goals and being results focused was really helpful
for me.
for you. But I think it's helpful for most people because we like to see that instant gratification.
Results equal
It
motivation.
wasn't
Right,
always
results.
instant, but it was a trajectory. It was like something was happening.
Right.
You know?
Being accountable. I wrote accountability.
Huge.
Accountability to somebody
Huge.
is really important. And somebody holding you accountable and not letting up on that and being vigilant in accountability,
Yeah.
I think is really important. And I think you mentioned that. You did.
Yeah.
And having common friendships and people that having a support group
A circle.
of people that are willing to support you through that.
Uplift you versus bring you down.
Really important.
Really important.
And then finally, the last thing that you said here was you started talking about being mindfulness, and yoga led you to the mindfulness part, and that breath to movement.
yeah.
That's around mindfulness. So having that in there as well is helpful somehow.
Yeah, and I think having a strong mindfulness practice allows you to be more cognizant of things that are coming up. You know, like I just said today to someone that I'm worried that going into the business side of things will kind of damper my little passionate fire side of things.
Well, look at me.
Because you're the business brain, and I'm like the
No, but look at
Come
me
out.
with cannabis. You know, like the passion was there, and then I mean, I still really passionate,
But
but
the
you
business took over.
you get the
Right,
business
exactly.
takes over.
The
You don't
the
want to
business
lose that.
took over.
You never want to
Exactly.
lose that.
But their answer to me was the fact that that's even in your lane of thought, you know it's not going to happen. Like
Right.
Steps.
you're aware of it, and that comes back to your mindfulness practice. It's something that frightens you. You said, but at least you know it's there, so you're going to feel it when it comes up.
Well,
Prepare. Yep.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, Naz,
gotta go.
you were,
Spinco.
geez, she's a ball of fire. It was amazing having you here. You're an inspiration
Thank
to
you.
thousands of people, to myself included. Hey guys, well, that's it for today. Really, I'll just tell you one last thing.
Were you gonna cry?
No.
Oh,
Yes, I was gonna cry. I was thinking of no. You know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of what I want my intro song to be for the show. I have two songs that I'm thinking. Either it's gonna be Fish. You know the band Fish?
I do.
Right. So I want Fee. I'm gonna see if they'll let Fee. Anyway, Fee or Grateful Dead, Driving That Train. One of those two. Both of those are awesome. That's what I was thinking of. I didn't want to forget it. So
Let's go with number
anyway,
two.
everybody,
Let's go
thank you
ride.
so much.
Thank
It is
you.
4:20. Hope everybody has an amazing day.
Love you guys. Love you.
And be mindful. And if you have any questions whatsoever, either text or DM me. Put it on Instagram, or you can DM Naz. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer that. Tyler, thank you so much. Lucas, thank you so
Always.
much. Everybody, have an
Peace.
awesome day.
Ciao.
We're going spinning.
Part 2 next week.
Dawn. Fuck.